Hi, I'm Eric with HyprMX. We're here at Pocket Gamer Connects 2023 in London, and I'm joined by Piyush from Product Madness.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I'll start with a quick introduction. So I'm Piyush. I'm head of growth marketing at Product Madness, mostly looking into ad tech and innovation sort of things, which basically means that I was the guy who sort of worked on privacy and killed myself.
Yeah, that's a fun job there. Yeah,
it's really a fun job. I did not anticipate this, but yeah, I mean, for the past 2 years, it's been quite a dominant, segment of my job on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I've been in Product Madness for 3 years. Product Madness is part of Aristocrat Group, which has sister companies like Big Fish and Plarium. So yeah, that's how we are.
Yeah, and before coming to Product Madness, you've worked at InMobi, Uber.
Yeah.
So how has that shaped your career? And I'm particularly always curious to hear what it's like working at Uber.
No, yeah, definitely. I'll come to Uber. I'll start with InMobi because that's where I started. Stepped into marketing for the first time. So I started as a campaign manager, then got as an account manager, and a lot of my clients like Uber and Facebook, Pandora, Hulu. These were the clients that I had at that point in time. So back at InMobi, we used to spend like a lot of amount trying to run campaigns, like crazy amount of money, crazy amount of effort. But the good thing about InMobi is that you learned a lot because you're starting from the scratch. You're literally a campaign manager. You're setting up campaigns, doing creative. So you learn a lot about the basics of performance marketing, and from there on you step up and then you understand and look at the whole picture. So I worked there for like 2.5 years and then went to Uber I'll say pre-IPO days. When I joined, it was the time when Calendly was out and then Koshuzai was coming in, and like at that point in time, it was quite an insane journey. It was really, really good, great, smart people. But it was really interesting just going through the journey over there back in India again, because I was working as performance marketing manager. Started with programmatic, then started looking at the overall performance marketing for Uber and Uber Eats. So yeah, I mean, back in India, it was really, really interesting. Post IPO, we saw a lot of changes in the company. Pre IPO, the company was a bit different, but both the time, the people were really, really smart and really talented.
Top notch, yeah, I imagine. Was it fast paced? Was it like?
It was really fast paced. Like both the companies, I mean, both of them were startups. InMobi was the first unicorn back in India. So they had investment from SoftBank. When you have an investment from SoftBank, you have to make it work. And then Uber also had investment from SoftBank. So I've always been in a company like that. But no, going back to the question, it was really fast-paced and it was really fun as well because things kept on changing every single day.
Right.
And also the products kept on evolving. There was a very quick and agile team to sort of implement a lot of changes that we really wanted to do. So it was really interesting to work in that space and also see the company go through a phase when it was trying to, cut down, spend a bit, trying to go for an IPO. And you see a lot of macroeconomic factors coming into play that you won't understand. Like I cannot understand from a marketing standpoint. When you're looking at how the founders are reacting and how the CEO is reacting to everyday changes that are happening and taking the company from there to do an IPO. That was a really exciting phase. In that sense. Apart from doing marketing, that was my main core job over there.
And now that you've come into the position with Product Madness, how did that sort of macroeconomic view that you saw then help you adapt, right, to like the last 2-3 years that we've been going through now?
Look, I'll be very honest. It was a bit of a surprise. I wanted to move out, so Product Madness was one of the options that I got. But I did not anticipate anything, and I did not anticipate it to be this good. I'll be very honest, because this was my first gaming experience, and I'm not a very big gamer. I play some hyper casual games. But yeah, I mean, when I came in, I realized it's a social casino industry. I started reading about it, what it is, how exactly, what kind of users come into this, and what are the subgenres of gaming, how exactly gaming has evolved. Then now 3 years down the line, I believe that gaming is one of the biggest and the best area for a marketing team to work, because gaming relies heavily on marketing, right? It's not as much reliant over there in, for example, like Uber or other companies, other companies like travel apps and stuff like that. But at marketing, without performance marketing, most likely, most of the cases, I won't say all the cases, but like it becomes very difficult for you to get to the user base that you really want. So that journey has been really interesting. And for the past 2 years with the whole ATT and SKAN changes that happened, it became more interesting personally for me because I was actually interested in understanding what was happening. And then you look at the macroeconomic fact, now you look at it from what's happening with Apple and Facebook, why is probabilistic not paused, why is SKAN there, and what's happening. How did Facebook crash because of what changes they did? So all of these, conversations have been really, really interesting to have. And in that same time, I launched a podcast with Adam Smart from AppsFlyer, who's also our ex-colleague. So we sort of started this podcast in the sandbox with.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to cover all of these topics.
What's the name of it? In the Sandbox?
In the Sandbox with. It's on Spotify and Google and Apple. So yeah, do check them out if you
Nice. We definitely will for sure. Yeah.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. And as you also mentioned in there, you mentioned SKAN.
Yeah.
Can you give what's the state of SKAD Network, and what are we expecting in 2023, if you can even guess? Yeah.
If I have, again, this is a guess. It's a speculation. Mm-hmm. I personally believe that SKAN 4.0, although very complicated, you need a math genius to understand it, to be very honest. But
which you are.
I'm not, but I'm just saying my data science team keeps on telling me it's very complicated, which I believe them because they're very smart.
Yeah.
But the idea is with SKAN 4.0, they're technically in theory giving you up to 35-day worth of data, right? Mm-hmm. So in 3 different windows. Now, the bigger question from all of this stems has SKAN been perfected by Apple now? Because they have been trying to perfect it. They started with SKAN 1.0, 2.0, 2.2, 3.0, 4.0.
Yep.
So the question is, has Apple perfected SKAN now to the level that they're comfortable pausing probabilistic? That is the biggest question that, it's been really interesting to sort of see what exactly is going to happen in the future.
Right.
But I do believe SKAN 4.0 is a very big step in that space, because it was really struggling. 24 hours ROAS, 48 hours ROAS, you have no idea what you're looking at at a certain point in time. So now this is very important, although complicated, and it has a lot of layers and, crowd anonymity, privacy threshold, a lot of these things coming into picture. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that Apple has heard the feedback from the industry. They're trying to sort of implement it. And then let's see how this evolves.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's funny now, even you look at the past year, I don't think anyone could have anticipated what was going to happen in the world and how that would impact gaming. Yeah. I mean, in a way, SKAD Network and the changes on iOS are sort of a micro element of the bigger challenges that everyone's facing. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what I've heard from our partners is that essentially, the cost of installs is going up, the eCPMs on ad revenue are going down. That obviously isn't good. Yeah. How are you adapting to that?
So again, I limit this to my sort of genre, which is social casino, right? Yep. So in our genre, we are completely dependent. We are 95% dependent on IAP, right? So we need users to sort of convert and actually do a purchase on the app. So finding those kind of users have sort of become difficult. And that also resulted in a reallocation of budget from an advertiser side, where exactly do you want to spend and stuff like that. But to be very fair to Facebook, TikTok, and all the SRNs out there, they have evolved and they have sort of adopted SKAN very well, I would say. What I'm scared about is what happens if probabilistic is turned off, and how exactly the DSPs and the ad networks would adapt. Because I have not seen that indication till now. But going back to your previous question, these privacy changes it's more of a branding exercise for Apple as well, right? Because you look at their iPhone ads and it's all about privacy and stuff like that, right? So it's also a brand play in certain sense coming from Apple. And Google also is now forced to sort of follow in that footstep, right? I mean, they have to do it. That's why the Google Privacy Sandbox is going to come in. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. End of 2023, beginning 2024, we should be able to get that. When you enter a world where it's just 2 big players controlling the narrative in certain sense of the advertising market, how exactly would that evolve? That's a picture that's difficult to paint right now, but it's going to be really interesting, let's say. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you kind of navigate all of these challenges, it's not just Product Madness that I know you're thinking about and that you're working with. You mentioned Product Madness as a part of Pixel United. Yeah. How closely do you work with the Plarium teams, the Big Fish teams?
We work very closely with them. To be very honest, we have usual catch-ups with the whole of Plarium team and the Big Fish team, especially on the marketing side. I'm purely keeping it on the marketing side.
Sure.
Because, for example, with the whole SKAN thing that we sort of dealt with, we took a call that will work as an Aristocrat company. Back then it was called Aristocrat Digital. Now it's called Pixel United. So we sort of took that decision. So all 3 main POCs from all 3 companies were sort of working together on SKAN and talking to partners together, talking to the privacy team together, talking to our internal privacy teams together, right? So all of these things were done in unison. And these kind of things, whenever any big change that is about to happen in the marketing world, we sort of stick together and we do a lot of brainstorming. It's also good because I come from my genre of gaming, but their genres are very different.
Right.
So you learn a lot right? I mean, Plarium is very different. Big Fish is very different. It's community merge game. So you learn a lot and you look at things from a more generalized perspective as compared to just your own perspective. So it's really fascinating to work together.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, because I mean, social casino is quite unique. I mean, what are some of those unique aspects that you have to account for or take into effect when you're actually trying to scale or grow a title?
To be very honest, I mean, right now, the biggest challenge is finding the right user. That's becoming a bit of a challenge. Again, I don't want to bring privacy again and again, but like the fact remains, in our world, we needed that user level data to find that user who could potentially convert.
Right.
Now in the world where we won't have it, it will be difficult for us to find whales and the audience who would eventually convert. So that's been a good challenge, and that's why the cost per install has gone up. And it's been more challenging for us as a genre because we rely on a very specific set of audience. It's not a very generic. It's not a hyper casual where you can show the ad to everybody. So we're also we're also trying to sort of change a lot of things on that front. Like for example, investing into TV is one of the things that we are trying because we want to create the brand out there. The apps that we have, Cashman Casino, Heart of Vegas, Lightning Link, they have the IPs are very strong, right? So we really want to invest in a bit more into trying to understand how exactly investing into more of a brand play would work out well for us or not. So we are investing into that. So that's been a decent change, and I'm really sorry I forgot the main question.
No, that's quite all right. That was great. You just made me remember that I actually see Aristocrat social casino stuff in Las Vegas all the time.
Yeah,
I see Cashman, I see Heart of Vegas. It's out there. Yeah,
and that's the problem. So the biggest problem also is like expanding outside the main geos. That's also becoming a bit of a problem because you have mainly US and Australia where the IPs are very strong,
right?
But getting into a market where IPs are not that strong and still trying to cater to those users, trying to localize it and stuff like that. That's been an interesting challenge, I'll say. Is
that the biggest challenge is simply adapting and localizing for the different geos? But then if you do that successfully, there's still the monetization aspect, which is very different across geos.
Like obviously, like for example, we tried running with in Latin, but over there our main focus was IA, not IAP, right?
Okay.
So it was more of monetization.
Yep.
But the unit economics didn't work out well for us in that sense. But like the idea is when you enter a market like an APAC or a Latin, it's a very different game, right? It's mostly driven by advertising in there right now, and that those areas would also develop further, and IP would become important at a certain point in time. Because I also believe advertising is not going to go away, but advertising is going to evolve on the admin side, right? Especially because maybe it would become more of a brand play, and the developers would start focusing more on IP. The less data you have, the more focus on IP. Could be the possibility, but it doesn't mean that advertising or admin is going to go away. It's going to stay there. But it's going to evolve. It's going to innovate in certain sense, right? So maybe we're just talking back at the talk that we sort of did right now, like maybe brand in the in-game advertising space, right? So brands would need to come in, right? And brands would increase the ACPMs like crazy. So like all of a sudden, performance advertiser would fight with a brand advertiser, and that would be good competition for companies like yours.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of evolving over the next year, what should we expect from Product Madness? Are there new titles, new genres, anything you can talk about?
And like we are planning to launch a new game. We are doing a soft launch and we are trying to do a global launch very soon. So that's one of the things that we are sort of working on. I don't know if we are allowed to say this publicly. I would double check.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, I mean, so we are sort of trying to work on sort of launching a new game. It's in the same genre, but very different. Like it caters to because we also have in the subgenre we are niche audience, right? So it's sort of for a different audience. It's not going to be in competition with Cashman Casino or Heart of Vegas in that sense. But yeah, I mean, the core idea is to obviously build more on the existing apps that we have. We have also recently sort of changed the Fa app that we had into Mighty Fool Casino.
Right.
And it's really doing well, especially catering to more of, East Asian market and stuff like that. So like that's also sort of a big play that we're doing. But yeah, I mean, you will see, because of the Magnus Venture thing that we've launched, you'll see Product Madness investing a lot more into new games, mostly sticking to the genre. But yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot more games coming out.
Yeah, sounds like an exciting year. Definitely looking forward to it. It was really great to meet you.
Thanks a lot. Great to meet you too.
And don't forget, make sure to go check out In the Sandbox with.
In the Sandbox with. Please do. That's the last plug. Thank you.
Thanks again, man.